そういえば、アルバイト募集してるんだって？
人手が足りなくて。
ペ
ンギンさん、どう？
僕？お客とバイトの両立できるかな？
嘘。これから4名ほど、面接に来るんだよ。
なんだ、ちょっと考えちゃったよ。
僕もいいですか？僕もアルバイトしたいと思って。
受けてみる？面接。
Hi everyone, nice to see you again. We're going to be doing exactly the same thing that we always do here. We've got a little chunk of Shirokuma cafe that we're going to split up, analyze in the same way that we always do. So let's get stuck into it.
そういえば、アルバイト募集してるんだって？そういえば、アルバイト募集してるんだって？
This expression here, soieba, means literally if one says that. It's often used in Japanese to mean speaking of that, or now that you've mentioned it, or something along those lines. Here, I'd say the penguin is using it more generally. He's just using it in such a fashion as to mean, by the way, or oh yeah, I wanted to mention something. It's a type of conjunction, it's a way for him to lead into what he wants to say. What I want to focus on here is that ndatte, this is very important conversationally in Japanese. The thing that goes before the ndatte is, it's a quote. What you're saying is, I heard that, or hey, apparently, blah 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 blah. The word on the street is that, blah 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 blah. So when we have arubaito boshu shiteru ndatte, Penguin's saying, hey, I heard that you're looking for someone to do a part-time job here. I heard that you're recruiting, in a sense. People who are in the early stages of learning Japanese often try to shove a verb in. I heard that, or somebody said that. So you tend to get things like, arubaito boshu shiteru to kikimashita. That is grammatically correct, but it's quite bad Japanese. It's an attempt to take what we would say in English and sort of shove it across into Japanese. I heard that, I've heard that. We naturally want to put that into the Japanese, but conversationally speaking, this is much more natural and you'll hear this kind of thing a lot. Arubaito boshu shiteru ndatte. Hey, I heard that you're looking for someone to work part-time here. The point being, obviously, that Penguin is asking Shirokuma about this. You might ask yourself why there's an nda in there. In this expression, they often put that in, and in my opinion, it's not really worth analyzing it. So this means something along the lines of, hey, I heard that you're looking for someone to work here.
人手が足りなくて。ペンギンさん、どう？
僕？
人手が足りなくて。ペンギンさん、どう？
僕？
人手が足りない is an idiomatic expression in Japanese, which means that you don't have enough people. It's usually used in a working context, in a place of work, although I don't suppose it has to be. So this is one of these expressions that you've just got to pick up as you go along when you study any language. I mean, any language will require you to learn a huge number of these sorts of expressions as you go along. The expression always seems to be used in the negative. 人手が足りない. It's what you say when you don't have enough people. If you do have enough people, you don't say 人手が足りる, at least in terms of what I've heard in Japanese. Some expressions are like that. They're always used in the negative. Notice the dangling te form here. 人手が足りなくて. I interpret that as being causal. Shirokuma is explaining the cause of the fact that he's looking for help. He doesn't have enough people. Obviously, he doesn't have enough people if he's looking for someone. But that's what the te form is doing. The te form is very complex like this. Sometimes it indicates cause, sometimes it indicates sequence, and whatever it means, it'll often be left dangling like this. We'll see another one of these later. So the English translation here would be something like, yeah, just don't have enough people at the moment. What about you, Penguin? You want to work here?
お客とバイトの両立できるかな？
嘘。これから4名ほど面接に来るんだよ。
お客とバイトの両立できるかな？
嘘。これから4名ほど面接に来るんだよ。
I first learned this expression, 両立できる, about 25 years ago, and this is probably the second time that I've actually encountered it in real Japanese. It means to be able to combine two different things. So Penguin is saying, I wonder if I'd be able to be a customer here and still have time to work here, or vice versa. This kana is what you say when you're asking yourself something. It's like, I wonder if I'd actually be able to do that. Very important to try and get the hang of this kind of stuff if you want your Japanese to sound natural. If he didn't use it, he'd have to say something like, お客とバイトの両立できるかどうかわからない。I don't know if I would be able to combine these two things, right? He doesn't want to have to say all of that, so he just says, できるかな like that.
なんだ、ちょっと考えちゃったよ。なんだ、ちょっと考えちゃったよ。
This next bit is very interesting. Grammatically, it's very simple, but there is a certain complexity to it that we can talk about together. Shirokuma has just said to Penguin, well, how about you? Do you wanna try working here? You wanna try out for this job? And the Penguin takes him seriously for a moment, right? And then Shirokuma says, no, I'm just kidding. I've got 4 people coming in later to take an interview with me. So what Penguin is saying here is something like, damn, man, I thought you were serious for a moment there. But he doesn't say anything that corresponds to that very closely in the Japanese. He says, nanda, ちょっと考えちゃったよ. This ちょっと考えちゃったよ. He's saying, I thought about it. But there's no about it in the Japanese. There's just I thought with this chatta form, this teshimatta form. It's like, damn, I thought about it for a moment there. I thought you were serious. Yeah, grammatically this is very simple. But to use this kind of stuff properly in Japanese, you have to be able to see that that's what they're going to say. In English, I would say something like I said a moment ago, damn, I thought you were serious there. I actually thought about it for a moment. So the complexity here doesn't lie in the grammar. The complexity lies in the fact that the Japanese are going to have different strategies for communicating things. Different in the sense that they're not the strategies that we would use. The chunks of language they use are not the same, right? So that means you have to recreate for yourself a set of strategies. What do I say in this situation? What do I say in that situation? This is very hard. It takes years. It's not just a question of translating back and forth between English and Japanese. If you translate this as directly as possible, it means a little bit, that's the chotto, a little bit, I thought. But would it be clear to you that you could say that in Japanese? It's not that clear, it's not that obvious. Only a huge amount of exposure can help you understand this stuff. So I translate this as being something like, damn, I actually thought about it for a moment there. You had me going there, I actually thought about it for a moment.
僕もいいですか？僕もアルバイトしたいと思って。僕もいいですか？僕もアルバイトしたいと思って。
Now obviously this next bit does not mean, am I good to? That is gibberish pretty much in English. It means, do I have permission to? This E adjective, E, is often used to talk about permission. いいですか? Is it okay if I do this? これを使ってもいいですか? 僕もいいですか? It's that meaning of the word E. It doesn't always mean good, right? Notice that there's a dangling te form here again. I told you there'd be another one. This is it. 僕もアルバイトしたいと思って. What does it do here? It's difficult to explain. I'd say it's more of a softener than anything else. If you say 僕もアルバイトしたいと思ってます, that's quite firm and forthright. But Panda's being, he doesn't really know this place, he's just got there. He's holding back a little bit and saying, 僕もアルバイトしたいと思って、... It's this ... It's this hanging te form that really softens it. This is very unlike English. We don't have anything like this, right? You will hear this an awful lot when you learn Japanese grammar, proper Japanese grammar. You learn how to create proper sentences that have full stops at the end. But as you might expect, the reality is quite different. The reality is much more complex than that. Lots of forms are left dangling, but it doesn't sound to the Japanese ear like there's really anything missing. This is all quite natural to them.
受けてみる？面接。受けてみる？面接。
Last but not least, I just want to look at this this verb that we use here, ukeru. This verb would normally be translated, if you didn't have any sort of context, that is, as receive or maybe get, right? To receive, to get something. Now, in English, you have an interview. You don't really take an interview, in my opinion. You have an interview. You can take an exam. You can have an exam. You can even sit an exam. It's quite interesting, right? You can take an exam, sit an exam, have an exam. In Japanese, it's going to be 面接を受ける or 試験を受ける to take an exam. It's very hard to stop saying things like shiken o toru. We naturally want to do that because when we learn Japanese, we're told that the verb that most closely corresponds to take in English is toru. So it's natural to say shiken o toru, but that's not correct. You have to relearn this stuff. That's it for today. As always, I went through this stuff quite quickly. There isn't as much time as you might imagine in these videos for me to discuss this stuff in the, with the degree of detail that I'd like to discuss it in. As always, you can use the comment section to this video to ask questions about the material we've covered today or anything that's come up in your studies of Japanese. Don't be shy. If you have any questions, I'll do my best to help you. Of course, there's no guarantee that I can, but I always do my best. So that's it for now. I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening and ciao ciao!